fastest show in sports.
Remember when college football used to be all about going to the games on the weekends, have a good time, maybe a tailgate party? You win some, you lose some. It's okay as long as you compete and you have a good time. Oh, where have you been? That is no longer what college football is all about. College football right now is you will win or else. And it will cost a lot of people their jobs. It simply is the way we are here in 2025. People are not satisfied anymore with going and saying you put in a great competitive effort. You really gave them the old try. Doesn't work anymore. And the evidence is in Oklahoma State. Mike Gundy, 21 years head coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys, an excellent career, considered to be one of the best college football coaches in the nation. However, what has he not done? Well, let's see. He's won, but he hasn't won a national championship. Therein lies the rub, because right now what we have is a college football society that simply states, I want to win every year. I want to contend every year. And if we can't, you're out. Mike Gundy lost his job after 21 years because he quite simply couldn't change with the times. It is basically a slow death that a lot of coaches are now being pushed into because they have to win or else. Here's Brandon Marcello from 24/7 Sports, who actually was there at what was the final game for Mike Gundy and noticed what a lot of people had been seeing.
Yeah, I was there Friday night in Stillwater during the loss, and it was clear then that it was over. It's just been a very discombobulated mess with the administration there. It was a matter of time before they all got on the same page and made this decision to move on. This has just been something that's been a long time coming since last season. They've lost 11 straight FBS games, and you've got a head coach in Mike Gundy who has refused to change his ways in a lot of ways. And as a result, he's had to kind of quickly try to catch up the last 2 years through the transfer portal. They had over 60 new players on the roster this season, including 40 plus from the transfer portal. And the problem is that those additions from the transfer portal are not great players. They're just good to average players. And when you throw that all in the mix, on top of a base, a foundation last year, they only won 3 games, you get this disaster you're seeing now in Stillwater. And it was very clear there that night that we were watching the end of the Mike Gundy era.
It is also very clear that we are watching the end of many eras in college football because the coaches themselves have to make the change. The coaches have to understand what is now the new college football of 2025. You can't just contend. You cannot just be in there and play a good game. Doesn't work anymore because there's too much at stake. There's too much money at stake. And even though things are a little bit discombobulated, which was a great word that Marcello used at Oklahoma State, it still comes down to the fact that you've got to learn how to change. Here is Shehan Jayaraj from CBS Sports, and he too makes the cogent point about what college football has become.
It was really striking, honestly, just I guess how behind he was. He acknowledged we have 65 new players, 30 of them won't even arrive until the summer. And so this was just a roster that not even the staff on campus necessarily knew what to do with. When you fall so far behind, especially in this era of NIL and the transfer portal, it's never been harder to dig your way out. And through the first couple games of the year, it's been miserable. There's kind of an old adage that whenever you don't expect a Mike Gundy team to be good, that's when they strike. Well, they've never come off of a 3-9 season before under Mike Gundy. They've never had to flip this much of their roster. And I know that both of us have talked to people who have said, we were a little surprised about the quality of players that they were going after in the transfer portal. They weren't going after guys who normally would have been starting at the power conference level. So ultimately, they've just dug themselves too big a hole. And when you have the kind of losses that you've had through the first couple of weeks, a 69-3 loss to Oregon, and then a loss, of course, to Tulsa just this past week for the first time at home since 1951. It's just hard to keep this thing going.
There is a lot to unpack there, but it all is very relevant when it comes down to what college football is today. Oklahoma State simply couldn't get the good players. Players don't want to come anymore to a program where they know they're not going to have a chance to win a national championship. It's simply that easy. Because the players themselves know the opportunity is there to make a lot of money. and the opportunity is there to get to play for a National Football League team. Let's take that. If a player wants to get noticed in college football, he's got to go to a school that wins, or at least contends, because that's where the scouts are watching, that's where the network television cameras are pointed. Those are the games, those are the programs that make them popular, that make them big time, that get them noticed on the college football stage. A place like Oklahoma State, look, nothing against them, nobody there ever stole a freight train, but quite frankly, why would anybody want to go to Oklahoma State? Okay, fine, yeah, great education. Sorry, educations don't work anymore in college football. There was no reason, even in the transfer portal, for many of these players to go to Oklahoma State. If you go there, maybe you're coming from a very, very low-rated program, and you got a chance to come play at Oklahoma State. Your competition is going to be very good. There's a chance you may get onto national television, and because you're being coached by a guy like Mike Gundy, there's a chance, a slim chance, that you're going to get noticed. But still, you're going to have to leave. Oklahoma State has now become what is the way station, if you will, in college football. Because if a player wants to make a lot of money, and they all want to make money, and they all want to go to the National Football League, and they all want to get noticed, you're not going to get it done at Oklahoma State. How many times recently has anybody talked about OSU for being a national title contender? I can't remember the time. It doesn't happen. So here you have the player who's in a mediocre program, who can't get into Notre Dame, Miami, UCLA, Ohio State. So what is he going to do? He takes the Oklahoma State route. I can go there, I can play, the competition is better, I can get better, and then I still have to look at transferring out. See, players now have to look at their career as being more finite than ever, because when you're coming out of high school, you want to pick that right team. If the team is right, then you'll be there 1, maybe 2 seasons. If it's not, you're going to be there 1 season, and then you're going to transfer out. And then maybe that second team is not where it really is going to help you, so you're going to transfer out again. And then maybe you're going to have to go to a 4th program. You've only got so many years to do this. The players are just as selective anymore as coaches used to be when it comes down to jobs. They want to win. Oklahoma State was not going to win. They were not going to win a national championship. They weren't even going to contend. Mike Gundy is the representative of the coach that needs to understand, if you do not learn quickly how to use the transfer portal, if you don't learn how to use your recruits, if you don't learn how to get the right players, if you don't learn how to create that roster, you're going to lose. And you're going to lose big, because you're not going to get the better players. They're still going to go to the other schools. Mike Gundy didn't understand it. Dabo Swinney is another one who hasn't understood it yet, and we'll get to Dabo in a moment. But these are coaches that have to stop living in the past. This is a new era of college football. The fans won't stand for it. The fans and the boosters and the sponsors will not stand. You want to go win 5 games a season? Go ahead. You want to go win 6? Go ahead. But do it on your own time. Don't do it on my time. Don't waste my time. Don't waste my dollar. Because if I'm going to go, this old rah-rah, sis-boom-bah, alma mater stuff is all just crap anymore. Nobody cares. It's not like people come to college football games anymore. Let's say Miami. And they say, I want to go to a game because I want to root on my alma mater. I went to Miami. It's great to be there. It's great to be a Miami Hurricane and all that stuff. Guess what? That fan gets tired real fast. And they have in the last several seasons, if they don't contend for a national championship. They want to win. They stop coming. The stands don't get full. The money stops rolling. So you bring in a guy like Mario Cristobal, who did not really understand the portal in his early stages, but has very quickly learned how to make that portal work for him. So now the team is better. The team is the second best team in the nation, might be the number 1 team before long. But they learned how to make it work. Coaches need to understand that you can't win without those transfers. And the transfers won't come unless you're winning. It's a vicious circle. But it still is what college football has become. Coaches are going to have a very short lifespan, because it used to be that maybe a coach comes in and maybe like a Mike Gundy, you get 21 years. You're not going to get that anymore. It's never going to happen. We are past the stage where we're going to see coaches there for 2 decades. The Sabans of the world who were there for a number of years, not going to happen, because the transfer portal changes everything. Players can now move at will. Teams change. It used to be that a college football team would change, let's say, every 3 years, every 4 years maybe. When you had new players come in, new blood, new classes, things changed. Players would play for you for 2, 3, sometimes 4 years. Won't happen anymore. Sometimes the players won't play 2, 3, 4 games for you before they want to get out and they don't want to play for you anymore. So you have to understand that it is now much more of a business than it ever was before. And the fans, and I'm going to look the fans right in the eye right now, because you know that you're not going to go just for the rah-rah, sis-boom-bah alma mater. You want to win. If you're going to pay these kind of ticket prices, if you're going to invest this kind of time, if you're going to spend all this money on the gewgaws, the shirts, the hats, and everything else, you want to win. And if you don't win, you're leaving. And you're going to leave because why waste my time? So that's what we have in college football right now. It is all about being able to dig out. And you can't dig out unless you use that portal. Right now, more than ever before, the power in college football is in the hands of the players. And the players know it. Because the really good ones, hey, I can change your program in a heartbeat, but you're going to pay for me. You're going to pay my NIL. You're going to pay my under the table. You're going to get me the kind of money I want. And I'll come in and maybe we'll win. I'm going to certainly try because I want to leave here and I want to make a lot more money. There is no such thing anymore than the preponderance of college athletes, college football players, who want to play for a team just because they want to. Well, maybe there is. Maybe he says, my dad went there, my mom went there, I want to go ahead. I want to be a Crimson Tide. I want to be a Longhorn. I want to be a Bruin. I want to be a Hurricane because they were there. But 9 times out of 10, these players want to get paid. They're mercenaries. And the mercenaries run college football right now. And if the coaches don't learn how to use the portal, they're out. But then here's the next side of this. We have rapidly, I said this a couple of years ago, I thought it was going to take a few years. It hasn't. We are now in the era of college football where it is the haves and the have-nots. Simply stated, there are no more than 20 teams in America right now that will ever win a college football national championship, at least in our lifetime. 20 teams, that's it. Matter of fact, I'll go one step further. I'll bet you there are 15 teams, no more, that will win a national championship. You know why? They have the money. They have the power. They have the players. These are the schools that the players want to go to. The Floridas, the Miamis, the Texas, Alabama, Auburn, Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon. These are the teams they want to go play for because these are the teams that are going to win. So if you continue with all of these great players that are just circulating around these 15 teams, and the next generation, and the next generation, and the next generation, it's going to continue. We have made the cutoff. There are only certain teams that are going to ever contend for a national championship in our lifetime. And maybe occasionally a stray team will wander into the playoffs. Maybe. But it's unlikely. Because it's not all about just winning games. It's about starting to get the best players. And the best players want to go where the best chances are to win. And that's maybe those 15 teams. It's a shame. I mean, as we always, in college basketball, we still talk about the fact that there's a Cinderella team. There are no more Cinderellas in college football. Turn in your glass slippers. And yeah, somebody's going to say, well, this team might come up and this team might come up. Yeah, they might. But it's not likely. There's no more Cinderellas in college football. You got to stick with the big teams. And the big teams have the players, they have the power, they have the money. And the rest are going to have to learn how to subsist on a second level, which gets them maybe 9 wins, 8 wins. Maybe they'll have to be content with 7 wins. But the question is, will you, the fan, be content if your team for 5 years wins 8 and 9 games and doesn't contend for a championship, a conference championship, a national championship? No, you won't. You'll stay away. I guarantee it. Because you want to win. You want to feel good about yourselves. And right now, if you can't win, I'm out the door.
That's all, folks.